Well, I've been neglecting my dragons, and I've only 8 weeks to make good on my promise for more dragons this year. So it's very fitting for me to stage a last-minute comeback with this. Now this year marks the 20th anniversary of Monster Hunter. We started the era with the amazing CreatorsModel Shagaru-Magala, looked at the CreatorsModel Aletreon, and now as we near year's end, we have another new model to close out the year. This is the Ichiban Kuji B-Prize Fatalis, and as expected, the concept of this dragon is very good. There's something inherently iconic about a dragon perched on the ruins of a castle or a heap of treasure. It's an appealing trope that this model certainly taps into. The dragon's tail elegantly wraps around the base of the crumbled wall. The sinuous neck arches up and then down, so that the dragon head almost meets the tail. This creates a visually satisfying loop, a natural flow that draws the eye. Now from this angle, you'll see how the outstretched wings give the dragon a sense of grandeur and presence, where the dragon presents a very pleasing profile view of the head that's so typically draconian. However, one thing will stand out, which is that this model is small, certainly when compared to this other Ichiban Kuji prize figure I own, the impressive Velkhana. This one feels underwhelming in size, and as great as the concept is, the execution falls short in the paint application, as we'll see in a while. Now to be fair, working with an all-black colour scheme does limit the potential for variety in shading and highlighting. But even taking that into account, you'll see swathes where the paint job feels overly simplistic. Large portions of the dragon and almost the entirety of the wall it's posed on are painted in flat, basic colour applications. So let's take a closer look. Now for those of you who may not be aware, Monster Hunter has rarely given us true dragons. Now the famous dragons like Rathalos and Raytheon are actually wyverns. Now we do have the Kushala Daora and Velkhana, but the one that comes closest to the archetypal Western dragon is Fatalis. True enough, we have that visage that's so typically Dungeons and Dragons type. This looks like a traditional looking dragon through and through, replete with horns, and complete with these side flaps or fins that you see in many dragon designs. Facial expression is fierce, with a nice open mouth filled with individual sharp teeth, together conveying the menace and the sense of danger very well. The scale detail is intricate and fine, particularly on the face, where you can appreciate the texture and the care that went into sculpting each minute scale. Now there's some nice colour fading in the horns, which is really expected in keratinous features nowadays. And you have these textures in the base, almost like cuts of black, which add interest and break up the monotony of the pale yellow. As we move down the neck, the detail continues to impress. Dorsal, sides, and the ventral areas are all well sculpted with scales. And the spikes erupting along the top give it that iconic dragon look. Unfortunately, in my copy, we come to the part that's very disappointing. Now have a look here, where you see a definite discontinuity in the black. Down here, it almost seems like there should be a bit of colour applied over here to continue from the black up here. On the other side, it's even worse. You see an almost step-like break in the colour. So this is the kind of poor QC you really shouldn't get on a model like this. Now I tried looking online to see if anyone else has this or if it's just me. Unfortunately, the few reviews I found didn't show me the kind of basic detail I've gotten used to in videos by dinosaur model reviewers, and were really unhelpful, looking more like unboxings. So if you get one, let me know if it's just my copy. Unfortunately, the dragon is glued to the wall base, so I can't remove it to show you more detail. But I think you can see that even though the detailing remains solid, with nice aesthetics and fine sculpting throughout, the color is simply and even crudely laid down, without complex build-up of colors. And for a US $100 plus model, I expect a higher standard of paintwork, certainly more attention to detail and variation than we've seen here. Now detail, again of course, is still very good, so this model can be saved by a repaint. The overlapping scales are well done, giving the impression of natural armor. The sides and the tail show different scale types, which adds visual variety to the model. The spikes are unevenly sized and shaped, contributing to a more organic, living appearance. And as we continue down, the scales become more longitudinal, guiding the eye down the very long, undulating tail, which gives me a creepy sense of slow writhing movement. The wings are always a highlight of most dragon models, and here you see that. They're nicely outspread. And essentially, you have purple-black wing arms, forearms, and wrists that, as they continue down to the fingertips, transition to a kind of brown or purplish brown. Needless to say, the texture on the wing arms is very nice, with parallel ridges along the wing fingers that create a lifelike anatomical structure. And as for the skin on the wing membranes, they have a leathery appearance, complete with fine furrows and other texture to enhance the realism. You'll also see tattering on their edges, suggesting a very much lived-in animal. The overall overarching appearance, curving down to these very sharp ends, really convey a sense of a dragon who has fully conquered the defenders, encouraging all still alive to abandon all hope. And as for the base, just as we saw in the recent disappointing McFarlane Series 8 Eternal Dragon, it's very good, and it's really let down by a paint job that doesn't bring out its fullest potential. The rubble surrounding the dragon is very detailed, with fractured bricks of varying shapes that look convincing. Unfortunately, as with the dragon, there are significant expanses laid down with single flat colors with barely any subtlety, and this flatness really doesn't do the sculpt justice. The walls themselves are constructed in a way that mimics real brickwork with uneven rows and individually sculpted bricks with irregularities you'd expect from an ancient structure. So, some quick comparisons. First of all, the CreatorsModel Raytheon should give you a good idea of size. And here also, we have the McFarlane Series 2 Fire Dragon. And finally, to give you a context of what the Ichiban Kuji prize could have been, here we have the Ichiban Kuji Prize Velcana, possibly my second favorite Monster Hunter dragon. So that's pretty much it. In terms of sculpt, it has very good detailing, with plenty of potential, with the only complaint being the small size. And as for the paint, it feels generally ordinary and lackluster, even assuming that the discontinuity in the neck is only my bad luck copy of the model. A custom repaint could vastly improve the overall look, but it's disappointing that for a $100 plus model, you'd even have to consider that option. And while this figure certainly holds its own against the best painted McFarlane dragons from almost 20 years ago, it doesn't quite meet the expectations we have today, especially when compared to other Monster Hunter figures. So that's it for this review. Let me know what you think, and if you already have one, let me know how your copy looks, and whether the discontinuities are only in mine. And I'll see you in the next video.